So, I have finally decided to make a unit tier list for Anime Auto Chess. There are many existing tier lists for this game, but most of the rankings are all over the place. So, if you just look real quickly, I'm level 101, which is the highest you can currently get in the game. I'm also rocking a fully decked out team of mythic units and traits, so I would say if there's someone in the game that can make, at the bare minimum, a decent tier list for this game, it would probably be me. Now, this video took quite a while to make, so I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. For this tier list, the order within the tier list isn't that important. What is important is the tier that they are actually in. I have included every single unit that I've owned into this tier list. If a unit isn't on this tier list, it's because I don't have it. So I cannot give an honest and accurate opinion on where the unit is on a tier list. So some units that are not on the tier list would include the starter units. That's because, well, the starter units can't be obtained in any other way than when you just started. So it's not going to be relevant into the game. And I also did not include the Battle Pass unit because I don't have her yet. I also didn't include the secret units from the summon. I might be able to get her with the amount of gems I have right now if I just buy like the luck boost, but I'm not gonna buy the luck boost yet until I have more gems, maybe like 500,000 gems, and I might do like a video on spending it all in the summon. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for the intro. So without further ado, let's actually start into the tier list video. F tier units are at the bottom of the barrel. There's really no need to go over them individually. You just need to know that these units are pretty much useless, so you don't want to use any of them unless you quite literally do not have anything else to use. C tier units are very mid, or they're very situational. Most of the time, you're not going to use them at all. Or if you do use them, they're going to be replaced as you continue to progress throughout the game. There's really no point in talking about these units individually. There's really only 2 units in the C tier that I would want to spend time talking about. And the first one would be Sakura, right? She's a support unit that gives healing to other units that you have. The reason she's in C tier is because her healing, while useful, is pretty weak. She heals about 1.5k, which isn't a lot. The thing is, her cooldown also got nerfed. I believe her cooldown used to be, it was either 6 seconds or 15 seconds. It's one of the two. But right now it's like 60 seconds. They could have changed it again. I haven't checked recently, but if it is still 60 seconds, I would say she's pretty much dead as a character and deservingly in C tier. So even with like cooldown gear, she's still pretty weak. Her healing isn't that strong. She might be situational, as you can use her in Legend Stage 2 and 3 when your frontline gets nuked, and so you can use her to heal them up when facing the boss. But her healing is still pretty weak, so I would rather just replace her with another DPS unit. So that's pretty much it for Sakura. The other C tier unit that I want to talk about is Itadori. The reason I want to talk about him isn't because of his strength or how strong he is. His power alone, he's deservingly in C tier. The reason I want to talk about Itadori is because they released like a sneak peek in the Discord. And the thing is, on the sneak peek, it shows Toji, also from JJK, within that within the thumbnail image, which is also in my thumbnail. So if Toji, and the unit from JJK, is going to be out for like a Christmas update, Itadori could potentially also get an evolution to become like Sakuna or Sukuna or something. So I just want to point that out. B tier units are very good units in your early game to your mid game. The first unit in this tier is Kirito in his legendary form. Kirito has amazing base stats. He can also ramp up as the game continues. But the issue with that is legendary Kirito dies a little too easily. So he doesn't get the chance to truly ramp up like his mythic form, which is why he's only in the B tier. Now, the next two units you might be surprised to see in the B tier, and that's Nami and Meliodas. They're both moneymakers. And Nami, I would say, is better than Meliodas, mainly because she can also buff your units and then debuff, so she does more than just money making. Now, you might be surprised to see money makers like in the B tier, because when you played like other games such as Anime Vanguard or Anime Universal Defense or something, moneymakers are in their own tier, right? They're basically in the S tier on their own, just because of how important they are to your team. But moneymakers isn't important in anime auto chess. The reason is when you're in the end game and you're rocking like mythical units, you can only place one of them down. And their placement costs and their upgrade costs are not that different from legendary or epic units. So as you progress through the game, your units are actually becoming cheaper in a sense. So moneymaker become less and less important the stronger you become in anime auto chess, which is pretty opposite to what your instinct would say when it comes to these type of game. Because in other games, moneymakers become more and more important as units get more and more expensive. But because that just isn't true for anime auto chess, I would say moneymakers are in the B tier. Now, this could change in the future as more units gets added into the game. Maybe a good units that's like money hungry might get added to the game, and that would just push moneymakers up the tier list just because they're required for the other units to be played. But for now, I would place them in the B tier. Other units in the B tier include Ace, Lava Admiral, Ice Admiral, Sharkbone, and Yellow Flash. The reason they're in this tier, it's very simple. They're reliable, right? They do good damage, they have decent base stats, and they're just overall reliable units. Some of them, such as Ice Admiral and Sharkbone or Sharkborn, also do a bit of debuff and stun. I would say these units are good to go for because they can also be evolved. Like Ace, Lava Admiral, and Ice Admiral can be evolved. So I would say go for them because they're reliable, and you can use them in endgame when you evolve them. I would not recommend going for Sharkborn or Yellow Flash because they cannot be played in the endgame. Yellow Flash, I would say I might actually drop Yellow Flash into the C tier. Yellow Flash has like good burst damage, but come on, just be honest. He's basically Light Admiral, but like a much weaker version of Light Admiral. So for that, I could potentially drop him into the C tier. But because he's like stronger than your average unit, I would have to put him in the bottom of the B tier for now. But that's pretty much your B tier units. A tier units are amazing. They're reliable in every mode, and I highly suggest getting them. The first unit here is Ace. He could potentially be an S tier unit. Just in terms of damage alone, he's definitely an S tier unit. But all his other stats, such as survivability, would be A tier. So overall, I would say he's an A tier unit. But in his damage is high, which is why he's at the top of the A tier. The other two, Ice Admiral and Lava Admiral, is also here because of their damage. I would suggest getting Ice Admiral over Lava Admiral because he can also debuff, like freezing the enemy. And Ice Admiral also have an Awaken ability that basically hit a map-wide freeze, so that's also very important to have on your team. And these are the three mythic units that's in the A tier. Now, the legendary units that's in the A tier is Light Admiral, Shanks, Nami, Frieza, and Itachi. Light Admiral and Shanks are it's very basic. These two are super strong. Light Admiral is very good at burst damage, amazing in story mode and for grinding. Shanks is just strong on his own, very strong base stat, and his ability hits very hard. Now, I know that I said money makers are not that strong, but then I put Nami in the A tier, so that's a bit confusing. So I'm going to explain myself a bit here. The reason that Nami's in the A tier is not because of her money making capabilities, but because of her ability to buff and debuff the enemies. I mean, buff yourself and debuff the enemies. So she can buff your attack speed and your movement speed, which is going to be very important for your DPS, especially for units like Kirito, which relies on your attack speed. And if you haven't noticed, Kirito is going to be in the S tier. So because she's a support unit that goes very well with a meta unit, she might be a must-have, even though she's only in the A tier, not the S tier. She also has a second ability that does decent damage and also stun the enemy, I believe. So even without her buffing capability, her debuffing capability is also good on its own. The last two units on this tier list is Frieza and Itachi. They both have amazing ability damage. The reason they're not in the B tier is purely because their damage is very high for a legendary unit. But the reason that at the bottom of the A tier is because they cannot be evolved. At the very least, they cannot be evolved yet. So because of that, they're at the bottom of the tier list for the A tier because they have no potential value other than their damage alone. S tier units are, of course, the strongest units in the game. There's only 3 units I would say is S tier right now, and that is Kirito, fully maxed out in his mythic form, evolve Shanks, and finally evolve Light Admiral. These 3 are very strong, and I would order them in Kirito first, Shanks second, and Light Admiral third, but this order is very situational. So let me explain. Light Admiral, who many suggest might be the best unit in the game, have a very high burst damage, and he is amazing for speedrunning and AFK grinding because he can just teleport right up to the enemy and kill them right away. I would say he's very strong in maybe 15 wave modes and modes that doesn't get too difficult. So story mode and challenges, I would say Light Admiral could be the best units in. Shanks, I would say, is stronger than Light Admiral in terms of stats and damages alone. Light Admiral might be better for grinding, but if it's a 1v1, Shanks would be a little above. He's a very tanky unit with very strong damage, especially on his abilities, and even his normal attack themselves are very strong. His Awaken ability is very overpowered. He stuns the entire map for about 5 seconds, and he deals a lot of damage. That's why he's at number 2. Now, Kirito, in my opinion, is the strongest unit in the game because not only is his base stats and ability very strong, his passive ability is just completely broken. If you don't know what Kirito's passives are, basically every time he attacks something, he gets attack boosts and attack speed boosts, both of these boosts. So every time he hits something, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and he attacks faster and faster and faster. So the longer a match goes on, the stronger this unit becomes. Kirito gets exponentially stronger as the match goes on, and they did not put a cap on how strong Kirito can get. So he could potentially get as strong as possible. He is also very cheap to place down and very easily obtained. So there's really no reason for me to put Kirito any lower than at the top of the game. So because of this, that's how I'm going to rank the S tier units. But overall, these 3s are just super strong. I would recommend getting all 3 of them. And that's pretty much it for the tier list. If you disagree with any of the things that I've said or any of the rankings in this tier list, you can comment them below so that I can judge your opinion. And if you actually do have a good point, then I'll just tell you, you have a good point. But other than that, have a wonderful day.